I have officially unmuted both of us. Hello and welcome to today's AEW Dynamite review live stream. I am joined, as always, by the Chaos Cultist. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing quite well. The question on my mind, as it is on yours, I'm sure, Angela,
Yes.
and on our viewers' minds at home, is can Samuel Guevara and Maxwell Jacob Friedman coexist?
I don't know if they can. And,
I mean, we know now.
well,
We
I
know
mean, I
the
guess,
answer.
okay, technically, well, fine. Fine, I'll
The
pretend
answer
like,
is no. No, they
no, no,
can't
they
because their short-lived romance
is
was
over.
is over. If Tumblr still existed, there would be much gnashing of teeth. But
I mean, I think technically Tumblr still exists. There might still be gnashing of teeth on there. We're just not part of that gnashing. It's such a shame too because I actually really liked Sammy with MJF. I thought it worked super
that's
super
because you're
well.
part of that dead Tumblr group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I know.
I am part of that dead Tumblr group. Hello, John. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here today, sir. I should probably move this cord so I can actually see chat a little bit better and not have it be blocked. There we go. Bam. Haha.
Excellent. All right. So tonight's. Oh, you know what? Actually, before we even start talking about tonight's show, I do want to talk about one of the pieces of news that came out today, and that is that AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation are over.
Yeah, this honestly makes me really sad. AEW Dark and AEW Evolution or Elevation, sorry, I don't know why I called it Evolution, were one of the things that I really loved about AEW in the very beginning. It's one of the elements of the programming that I actually very much enjoyed, and I'm really sad to see it go. Like I understand why they're doing it, in the sense that it makes sense that they want to have more programming on live television. It
Well,
also
just
the
to,
whole
just to
point. Yeah.
clarify, the actual reason why Dark and Dark Elevation are ending
Yes.
is because as part of the new agreements between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery television channels will have exclusive rights to air
Right.
AEW, and so at least within like the US, I don't know how that affects Fight TV.
Yeah, I don't know either actually how that's going to affect their international stuff.
But regardless, it means that they have exclusive rights to it now. And so, on a business level, that means the YouTube shows have to end.
Right. Which is a little bit of a shame because like I said, it's one of the things that I really liked about the AEW programming. My one hope with it, I guess, is if these new shows that end up on TV do end up still showcasing a lot of the talent that used to be featured on Elevation and Dark, then I'll
Mhm.
be fine with that because at least that means that those wrestlers are finally getting on live TV rather than just being on YouTube, which was always kind of seemed as like a lesser place to be showcased between like the two, shows and everything. But my fear is that's not what's going to happen and we're going to stop seeing some of those people like entirely.
I mean, maybe, maybe not, because we were talking about this a little bit before the show, and the thing is when Dark started,
Mhm.
way back in the like 2019, all there was Dynamite, and then there was Dark, and then they added Rampage, which is its own discussion.
Right.
But while the Dark and then Dark Elevation have continued, we have now gotten to the point that Ring of Honor TV has been added,
Mhm.
as well as the upcoming Saturday night show.
That's true, yeah.
So really what one could say is from a year ago, we're going from having two television shows and two YouTube shows to having three television shows and then one like streaming service show, because I think you have to have Honor Club to watch Ring of Honor, but I might be wrong about that.
Oh, is that how that works? That does make sense actually. I wasn't sure how Ring Honor actually functioned with that, but yeah, I mean, I guess that is. I mean, it is an upgrade for the company, right? Like it is. Again, it's one of those things that I completely understand it. I'm not actually mad at AEW for the changes specifically. It just is a little sad to see because those were parts that I loved and I liked I liked that free element of it being on YouTube, and honestly just feeling a little bit more connected with the like the wrestling
The
community as a whole.
origins of AEW track back to YouTube with
Exactly.
the Elite, who were not on tonight's episode.
Well, yeah, no, actually, you're right, because only Kenny was on there with Don Callis, which we'll get to that later. Oh, I also want
and
to
he was
just shout
bare, and
out really quick.
that barely counts because it was a
You're right. It was just a promo. It was just a little pre-recorded promo and everything. Hello to Caleb. We are talking about AEW Dynamite, but we're also talking about how AEW Dark and AEW Elevation are no longer going to be aired on YouTube. They're going away because they're adding a new show, and they have what was it? The rights are with WB now, and it's exclusive to them, so they can't have the YouTube
Warner
program.
Brothers Discovery has
Warner
the
Brothers
exclusive
yeah.
broadcast rights to AEW wrestling.
Right, so they can't have their YouTube shows anymore. So that is what we are talking about. But after that, we're going to be discussing the recent AEW Dynamite episode from today, which had a lot going on it.
It did, but and I just want to say to Matthew,
yes.
I'm so sorry, because without Dark and Dark Elevation, I don't know where he's going to get half of his material.
I know, because we're not going to have Excalibur and Taz like just faffing about or anything like that. I just it makes me, this is why I'm sad about it. Like, I understand, and again, no like resentment towards AEW. It's actually very cool that they are like leveling up in this way, if you will, as a company, to have that many more television shows. It just, the fact that they have to completely remove the YouTube element is a little sad, especially since being the Elite and some of the other vlogs are not really what they once were, and or just don't exist really anymore, because certain people like just either took a break or have stopped them or whatever. And so there's just less that seems like it's on YouTube, and I feel like AEW grew out of YouTube in a sense. So it's just a little sad.
Yeah, and in a certain number of cases, that's true. And I think a lot of it's because, a lot of what made AEW YouTube good at the beginning was kind of how unprofessional it was. The fact that Sammy or somebody could be running around backstage and literally run into a former world heavyweight champion or something.
Exactly.
Was like, a large part of the appeal, but that had to go away.
Yeah.
But I digress. We should talk about tonight's episode of Dynamite.
Yes, because there was the question of, will Sammy and MJF coexist, and can Darby and Jack Perry coexist with each other in their tag team main event of the night? And the answer was no.
No, it wasn't. But we'll get to that because to kick off the show, can you believe it? The first person out. Would you like to place a bet?
I am going to bet that it was the Elite.
Well, as we already identified, the Elite were not on this episode, so that was a very bad guess. You owe me money on the bet.
Okay,
it was,
I'll pay you later.
As always, Orange Cassidy.
It was.
However, thank God for him, because he finally got something of a break.
He did.
Because it wasn't a straight-up one-on-one match. It was a 8-man tag team match with himself, the shattered remnants of the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, and his new BFF, Bandito. That is a weirdly talented and... What is that tag team? Versus the Jericho Appreciation Society.
I don't know what that tag team is. I mean, it was a very good, tag team, honestly. They worked well together. The match was really fun and very energetic. Orange Cassidy continues to open literally every show. Although this time, at least, because it was the 8-man tag team, they didn't really hype up his, like, injury or, like, him being worn out as much. But I expect that next week we'll get back to that.
Probably. So it was a fun opening match. Overall, we ended up seeing the faces go over here because the main story that they were trying to continue is the ongoing feud between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho, who had joined the commentators for this match.
Yes.
He was very Chris Jericho.
As he is wont to be. Yeah, he was very Chris Jericho.
And sometimes I can mean that as a compliment. I don't necessarily tonight. I feel like he was... when Jericho gets into that habit of he knows there's a line he's supposed to yell here?
Yes.
So he's going to yell that line over and over and over again.
Yes.
He was doing that tonight.
He was a little bit, and he does go into that mode. It's really funny. He's as much of a goat.
He'll get the sound bite he wants, I suppose. So I can't, shame him for that.
Yeah, I guess he's guaranteeing that they get a good one, right? He's giving them multiple takes.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not great for the live. That's all I'm saying.
Julian was saying the irony of making the guy with the "I don't try" gimmick the workhorse of the top, match.
Damn right.
I know, right? It's so like I think it's honestly a really good way to build up the seriousness of Orange Cassidy. Just to speak to that a little bit really quickly, like Orange Cassidy was always really seen as this comedy character, and when he got the belt, I think a lot of people were like, oh, well, what are they going to do with him? Are they just going to do like a short comedy stint and then be done with him? And this allow him to actually like, no, go, hey, I am a very good wrestler. I can put on repeated good matches with people and defend this belt and maintain and just like really build up this dominance. And I think it's a really just good character arc for him.
Yes. Also, shout out, happy birthday to Orange Cassidy. Tomorrow is his birthday. May 4th.
Well, happy birthday, Orange Cassidy.
Yes, May the 4th be with him. He probably doesn't like Star Wars, I just assume.
You know what? That's fair. That's absolutely
He does not
fair.
strike me as a man who loves Star Wars.
We're gonna find out that like he'll eventually come on one of Julian's toy hunts, and we'll find out that he's actually a mega
Ethan
Star Wars.
Page, man, you do not know him well enough to be using his.
Sorry,
name.
you're right. I'm so sorry. He goes. All of his shirts say like.
I know, it's because his like branding for his vlog is Julian. I think because when he finishes wrestling, I think he's just going to keep doing that.
I honestly don't blame him. He does like great stuff with his YouTube.
Here's a question.
Yes.
About Orange Cassidy, because we are digressing, much like Taz.
we are.
Orange Cassidy, as of tomorrow, is 39 years old.
Mm-hmm. He's really. I actually didn't know he was that. I knew he was in his 30s. I didn't realize he was approaching 40 that closely.
Yeah, him and the best friends, they're up there.
Okay.
Do you think that he keeps this gimmick forever? Or do you think we eventually see a storyline around, like, him actually changing characters? Would you want to see that, / do you think we'll ever see it, like, when he actually does lose the TNT title? Or is this a hacksaw Jim Duggan kind of thing?
That is a really, like, that really makes me think. My gut reaction is I don't actually think he's going to change the character. Because I think the character ends up, like, I think the character could be taken into Sting age and still work really well because of the way that, he does all of the, like, goofy stuff with the soft kicks and, like, barely hitting anybody and then goes into these bursts of speed. Like, I think that's going to keep him going for a really long time. So I actually think he's going to maintain the character. I think we're going to continue to see things like we're seeing right now where we have some, like, more serious sides of him. And then we'll go back to, like, the hyper goofy, like, it's all about the sunglasses and, like, the half thumbs up and being really lazy. But I think he'll always be the jean wearing, white t-shirt wearing OC. And I think I want that. I don't know if I actually want him to change specifically. What about you? Do you think he'll keep going or do you think he'll change and do you want that?
Honestly, okay. There's a world where I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is in the same, we live in a world where there are the 4 pillars coming up.
Yes.
And we have enough of serious wrestler guys that in this world, no.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. I kind of wonder, like, is this theoretically the peak of the Orange Cassidy, like, title situation, or will, he one day be tagged? I don't know.
I think it depends on, like, I don't know, like, I guess the question is, like, do we think Orange Cassidy is going to end up with, like, the main championship belt? Or is he going to, like, is mid-card championships, like, with what he has?
It's also, like, we don't even know what that title's going to be after he loses it, Like,
I don't know, because he's really built it back up very well, and, like...
yeah, I mean, he who had it before him?
because he has the he does not have the I'm sorry, back. I don't think backup maybe is the right one because he does not have the TNT.
No,
He has the
international.
international, which was formerly
No, not the North American.
what was it formerly? I don't actually. Does chat know what the championship was formerly? Because I can't actually remember now, and I don't remember who had it before him. Like, because I don't remember.
All Atlantic. It used to be the All
Oh right,
Atlantic.
the All Atlantic. Who had the All Atlantic before him?
Heck is the only one I remember.
And I don't think he got it off of Pack, did he?
I'm like looking for a lineage article.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I genuinely don't remember. And
No, it literally was Pack, then Orange Cassidy, and still Orange Cassidy.
okay, so it has been. So it's just so new that it's only had two people. Okay,
Yep.
cool. I mean, I think because of
that's the weird thing is that one's become more the workhorse title, whereas the TNT is the we got QT Marshall doing his bits with it. So and I like
right.
QT Marshall. Let's make that clear.
Yes,
But it's the more sports entertainment bit.
completely, completely. It really, really is. Yeah,
All right.
I don't know. I like that he's had it for this long. I guess I feel like he's added a lot of prestige to it.
But we digress.
Yes.
All right, next up, we had a promo from the Blackpool Combat Club, which I only caught like half of because the audio didn't work properly.
Yes. Or no,
But
we had. I'm sorry. After that, we actually had an interview with Darby and Jack Perry, basically going, can they coexist? And then also talking about how they've neither of them have main evented a pay per view, and that they both want to, and that was really all it amounted to. It was kind of a throwaway promo because they're just in the main event tonight. Then we had a match between Willow and Saraya with the Outcasts.
Yes, but before that, we had the Blackpool Combat Club promo.
Sorry, I didn't. I forgot to write notes about that one. My apologies.
It's okay. It's absolutely fine. So the Blackpool Combat Club, led primarily by the American Dragon, kind of promo that at least on the fight feed kind of screwed up for about the first 20 seconds or so. So I'm not 100% sure what he was saying, but he was definitely talking about Bret Hart and talking about how it always rubbed him wrong that Bret Hart had the best that ever will be line because he knows that the wrestlers now are better, and he believes the wrestlers in the future will be better than him. Hell, he even, took some, sort of funny shots at Wheeler Yuta, talking about how one day he might even be better than him.
Yep.
And so, it was good.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, sorry. I think there may have just been like a slight lag there for a second. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, no, I paused for a second while I was thinking.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. I'm so sorry.
No, apparently I'm just speaking poorly. So basically just warning the elite and just throwing shade
at them,
in
basically.
general. It's a little confusing right now, I think, because yes, I know the Blackpool Combat Club are heels, but they attacked Don Callis, who is still a heel himself.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to hate Claudio and all of them. So I have a little difficulty with it because I'm feeling that I don't really want to boo either of these sides. That's just me.
I'm in the same boat as you actually, because I understand why they're feuding because they're both trios teams and the elite want the trios tag teams back from them because they lost it off them. But outside of that, I really don't want to boo for either side. So them feuding right now is just kind of I'm not loving this. I'm just not loving it. Even though the matches are great because both sides have amazing, opponents on there, but it's just not working for me.
All right, but since you were very excited to talk about the next match, we had your best friend versus my wife.
Yes, we had Willow Nightingale versus Saraya with the Outcasts outside of the ring, and I really like Willow Nightingale. I love how much she's been featured on television recently, and I actually think this was a really good match between the two of them. Saraya was looking hot AF. I just love the way she looks right now. this match was really good, but really what it came down to was the finale. Willow Nightingale, unfortunately, of course, lost because shenanigans and cheating by
He
the
was a
Outcasts.
baby face who came out and there were heels at ringside. I do miss the first year of AEW where we didn't have shenanigans.
I agree. Literally, there were so many run-ins throughout this episode.
So many post-match beatdowns.
Yes,
too.
yes, so many, just too many.
And this,
like every
and this
match.
was the first of many.
It was
after the distraction interference, when the Outcasts began beating up Willow Nightingale, and then I, being a creature of prophecy,
oh my god, you did. You were like, just go ahead, tell him what happened.
Man, I miss Hikaru Shida.
He's like, I really miss Hikaru Shida, and then immediately
within 3 seconds, her theme music.
It was
like,
perfect.
Hey.
She came down and then was acting very friendly with the Outcasts. Almost acted like she was about to join them. And when we thought that everybody was going that she was going to come down and save Willow, and then she double swerved them, and she actually beat up the Outcasts.
Well, she distracted
them so that Tony Storm and DMD, yes,
could enter the ring and assault them from behind.
Exactly.
You made an interesting observation about the spray paint.
Oh, yeah. So I noticed something when they were doing the spray paint bit at the end, because you know how, if you've been following this feud between Tony Storm and the Outcasts and Britt Baker and Hater and everything.
AEW originals and the WWE.
Yeah, that split. The women's feud right now. If you've been following it, they've been spray painting L's onto the losers, right? The Outcasts have been. And I noticed something when they were doing it tonight in the broadcast. They're not using real spray paint, and that's why it always looks like garbage. Like, there's not been a single time that they have done this thing with the spray paint where it's looked good, where it's been legible. And the reason is because they're using hair dye spray paint. Like, the opacity is not going to stick on fabric. You're not going to see it. Like, that stuff is meant to be semi-transparent because it's going onto hair, which is not the same as going onto fabric. It's just not going to work, ladies. Please get some real spray paint. Now, I know why they're not, because you don't want to, be spray painting skin regularly. That's,
the NWO
bad.
Did it, damn it.
I know, but it's not necessarily bad. So I think that's why they're compromising and doing the hair spray paint. But it's not working. Please stop. Either get real spray paint or find something else to use that's actually going to be visible and make it clear, because what you're doing is not working. Please stop.
Indeed. But so sort of setting up, we now sort of have the 3-on-3 setup with Shida joining the faces now. Yes. So that's setting up for some kind of blow off at the upcoming pay-per-view.
That's my expectation.
And or maybe, I don't know.
I don't know which pay-per-view it's going to be at. It's either going to be at Double.
I don't know what this is like. What this really resolves in.
I don't think it's going to resolve. I think it's going to be more of a solidifying the two sides, and then it's just going to continue into whatever the next big pay-per-view is, 3 months from now or something.
I suppose. I guess it's probably building up to what do you think, Saraya versus
Britt?
No, against Hater.
Oh, yeah, probably Saraya versus Hater, actually. Because they haven't actually had a blow-off yet, have they? She's been taunting her and everything a lot, but I don't feel like they've fought.
With the bloody way their factions are going, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. The women's division is, it's interesting because I like all of the players in it, and I do think they're doing interesting things, but it feels...
There's so much talent there, but there's no direction.
Yeah, it feels a little messy.
There's no charisma. If you look at the people who are most over in the men's division, Orange Cassidy, The Elite, The Acclaimed, the Jericho Appreciation Society, even the ones who don't speak English, the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah.
They all come out and have much more of either a comedy character, a goofy, not even goofy's the wrong word, but a more fun to be around personality.
Yeah.
And the only equivalent of that I see in the AEW women's division tends to just be happy, bouncy dancing, a la Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would love to see the bunny be a little bit more of a psycho, like, serial killer character. Like you would expect more from a male wrestler, because, I mean, her entire background is in, like, horror movies.
Yeah, it's really interesting with the women's division, and and this is not exclusive to AEW either. Although
It's a lot of serious female wrestlers.
it's a lot of serious female wrestlers where the only story a lot of them ultimately end up having is my best friend of some length of time has suddenly betrayed me and now revenge. Like it's always those kinds of stories, or it is these group, like these factions that are kind of doing the same thing of somebody amongst them were once friends, betrayal has happened, now they're at each other's throats. And for some reason, they never, like, it's not that they don't try sometimes with characters for the women's division, but for some reason, they just don't often work really well. And I don't know if it's just because fans as a whole don't gravitate towards those types of characters as much or what, but like I'm gonna use what is her name? I've completely the alien who's not currently wrestling right now because she's still
Chris
injured.
Statlander.
Chris Statlander, thank you. So like Chris Statlander's old character was her trying to be this alien from outer space, like legitimately, right? Like there was a point where she was legitimately trying to play up.
And that was entertaining.
And it was. But like she never, like, for some reason they never really had her fully commit to it and do it more seriously, like, and go for it on television as much. And so it always sort of just like fell out. And they never tried really with a lot of other women either to do interesting characters like that, like they do with the men. And I don't get it. I don't know why, for some reason, women wrestlers don't seem to be able to have characters unless they're Joshi, I guess, but maybe that's because they're idols. Oh, Sheldon Jackson, thank you so much for the $10 donation. So he says the Outcasts aren't good at all. With all the talent they have, they shouldn't be this bad. I've put them at better than the Nightmare Collective, but sometimes I think they're worse and just stale. I disagree, but I understand because they're not really.
You only disagree because you liked the Nightmare Collective.
I also disagree because I liked the Nightmare Collective, but I listen.
Because you were a Brandy and the Bunny fan.
Was that no Nightmare Collective was her when she was with Kong.
Yeah, but wasn't Bunny also in the group?
No, that was a separate thing that they did. That was the Nightmare Sisters. They just kept using the name Nightmare over and over again because they were the Nightmare family and they were unoriginal whenever they changed gimmicks. They always kept Nightmare in there. But no, the Nightmare Collective was like her with what was her name? Something Kong?
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong, thank you. And then wasn't Lucifer or I almost said Lucifer. I don't think that was his name. Jericho. Luther. Yeah, I think Luther was part of that group as well, wasn't he?
Oh, Luther's great.
And yeah, that was a weird group. I do have one of their shirts though.
Mostly because Luther has a YouTube channel where he just reads horror stories.
Yes, it's great.
Yes, that guy's actually quite a hoot.
Yes. Oh, also, John Havman was asking, do you think that they're building for a match in London between maybe Saraya and Hayter? And that actually is very possible.
Yeah,
because they're both from there.
Match.
So that's actually a really good point.
With Tony Storm, or wait, is Hayter from the UK or is she Australian? I actually don't remember suddenly.
I thought she was from the UK.
She probably is.
Because I thought that was why she and Tony
she's from the UK.
Okay. I was like, I thought she was, but now I'm not sure either.
There's a few Australians.
Oh yeah, Mel was
around.
part of that group too.
Mel, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Thank you. The shaved head one. I was trying to remember who it was.
God. Yes, thank you, Sheldon.
All right. But moving on from that, we had a match that, I think I vaguely recall being announced, but we had a Tres de Mayo, because it is the 3rd of May and not Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Trios Battle Royale to figure out the number one contender for the AEW Trios Championships, currently held by the House of Black.
Okay, I wasn't actually sure, well, even while we were watching the match, actually, if it was the contenders, like, the winners would be the contenders, or if it was just, like, they were now the most likely to be the contenders. It was, the way commentary was talking about it, it was slightly vague. But it makes sense that they're the contenders now.
I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. I just think that they, like, worded it slightly weird and it was vague.
I was going to say, otherwise I don't know what the hell the point of this match was.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the point of it otherwise was, but they were sort of vague about it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Tony Storm was apparently from New Zealand.
New Zealand, that's what it is. I got them mixed up.
Got it. Okay.
Like, someone's from Oceania.
Got it.
There we go. So interesting. Honestly, probably my favorite match of the night.
It was really fun.
It was messy. It was messy as hell, but I kind of liked everyone who was in this.
Though, so like, of course, it's going to be messy. It's like, didn't they have like 6 teams of 3 as well? Like, I don't even. Yeah.
So we had the Dark Order, represented by John Silver, Evil Uno, and not Stu, Alex Reynolds.
Yes, Alex Reynolds. Yes.
Thank you. We had the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass. We had Powerhouse Hobbs with Aaron Solo and QT Marshall. We had the Varsity Athletes. We had the Butcher, the Blade, and Kip Sabian's bright fuchsia hair.
Yes.
And finally, we had the Lucha Brothers with, and I always mispronounce Viking's name, so forgive me for that. El Hijo del Vikingo. There we go.
Yes.
Sorry. Forgive my pronunciation. He, by the way, is taking the place of Pac because apparently Pac is still having visa issues.
Really? Is that why he's not been around?
That is like the internet rumor, so many grains of salt.
Got it. Okay. John, how dare you? Did you say Dork Order? Dork Order, sir? Dark Order is the best. They are the absolute best.
Yes, how dare you call the faction that's made up of the Meat Man and the Super Smash Brothers the dorks? How dare you?
How dare you? They are kind of dorks, but I love them.
This was a little bit of a train wreck, like Battle Royale, as you would kind of expect in an 18-man match.
Yeah,
where
it was a lot.
I can't imagine they had that much practice for this.
Probably not.
It was fun. The correct people won in that it was the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass who won it. So yes. We are going to get... I'm actually very excited for Brody King versus Daddy Ass.
Oh, man. I actually hadn't... Because I was slightly unclear of whether or not they were contenders now or not for the belts, I hadn't actually thought about them versus House of Black. But you're right. Honestly, seeing Daddy Ass versus any of them is going to be interesting because...
Funny.
Yeah, well, because all of them are former WWE. Well, sorry, except for Brody King. Actually, I don't know. Did Brody King ever work for WWE? Okay, so then except for Brody King, the other 2 are former WWE, but, like, they didn't really cross paths with Gunn when he was actively wrestling for WWE. Yeah. So it'll be an interesting... I'm excited for that. I do not expect them to win, though.
No, probably.
Like that's the thing. That's the one thing with this that is sort of weird to me is like I love that the Acclaimed won because I like seeing the Acclaimed win. Because I just really think that them with Daddy Ass is great. But I don't realistically see them beating House of Black without cheating.
It's the between feud. This is probably what they'll do at the next pay-per-view, and then the main thing will happen at Wembley.
You're probably right.
If I just had to guess,
you're probably right.
House of Black looking strong. And you and I have already talked about this, but somebody made a beautiful point on Twitter the other day of Buddy Matthews is there is something going on with Buddy Matthews and Needles Because why will that man not get a tattoo?
Dude, right? I mean, look at his teammates and his girlfriend. All of
Like,
them are decorated in tattoos, and he is clean as a baby.
he's just doing it now to be different.
I think he really is. I think at this point he
Way
probably
to
just
be a non-conformist man and
yeah.
keep your skin tatless.
It does make me laugh though because like I mean especially with Rhea, I'm just like, bro, how has she not convinced you to get at least something? Maybe he secretly has one. It's just totally not visible. It's on his butt or something.
Oh, I'm not gonna get into those speculations. We can ask Alexa Bliss later. Anyway,
Yes, perfect. Can we now talk about MJF's and Sammy's beautiful promo?
was that up next?
That was up next.
Okay, I thought it was Kenny Omega and Don Callis.
No, they
next.
actually they followed. You have it slightly reversed, unless maybe is your list showing it that way? I had it the other way in my.
You just go ahead and go.
Okay, well, I want to talk about the MJF Sammy promo because next we got a beautiful MJF Sammy promo, basically asking the same question that Darby and Jack Perry were dealing with earlier with can they coexist? Sammy was really mad at MJF for leaving him behind in the van yesterday. MJF gave him a bullshit story about his back and needing to lay down and stretch out fully on the back seat. He was embarrassed though and didn't want to tell Sammy. Sammy, being the good boy that he is, believed him, and they made up. And I love Sammy and MJF together. The hugging, the kissing, all of the like sweet whispers to each other when they are pressed cheek to cheek together. It's just the comedy is so good. I love them leaning on like the boy love element of anime. I feel like I don't know if that is Sammy's influence because of like his anime love or if secretly like MJF is also an anime fan and they just agreed to it. But it's perfect.
I am now just like imagining like our old anime club in college that all of like the Gen Z I'm headcanon fan fiction.
Yes.
If I was like 13 years old, I'm writing fan fiction about like the Gen Zers of AEW like meeting once a month for their anime club.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all.
No, that's amazing. I love it.
I'm not going to go into any further because I'll just embarrass myself more. But you know,
I understand. Oh, okay. So after that, we had a great promo that was based all camp, all cheese, between MJF and Sammy, setting up for what was going to happen in the main event later tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the Kenny and Don promo, which essentially boiled down to Kenny saying that the rivalry between the BCC and him and the Elite was going to resolve soon.
Well, next week we have Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in a steel cage match on Dynamite. So
yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we didn't see like the Elite probably this week
because they're wrestling after that.
They're expecting a big week next week.
Yep.
But Callis ended up cutting off Omega for quite a bit of it, just talking about like what he went through. Hello?
I'm here. Sorry.
Are you all right?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I was just saying that he was talking about the scar. Absolutely.
Yes, and really focusing on him, and then kind of just was like, "Oh yeah, Kenny, you finish it."
Yeah, and then Kenny, that was when he was saying that Moxley, this is going to end.
Yes, but really the point there is that we are continuing to tease some kind of split between Don Callis and Kenny Omega. I'm not sure. Do you think like Don is going to leave Kenny for Takeshita, or what do you think is going on?
I'm not actually sure what I think is so my theory is I actually think Kenny is going to dump Don. I think Don will probably stay with maybe Takeshita. But I do think that my bigger question is how long do you think they're going to draw this out? Because Kenny really likes to play sort of the long game with his narratives, and I feel like they're kind of doing the slow build of planting seeds in Kenny's mind of Don's sort of behaving weird. He's like cutting me off. He's not always helping me when I think he should be, even though he does eventually. It's just not like when or how I was expecting it. He's driving wedges between Kenny and all of his friends and trying to make him be friends with the people he wants him to be, like Takeshita. So I don't know, like, I'm curious where this is going to actually end up resolving itself between wherever the split ends up happening. Because I do think that is where we're going. And then we're going to eventually get face Kenny Omega.
I mean, Kenny Omega is pretty much always a face at this point. Like, unless he's doing something, beating up Hangman Adam Page.
That's
what
fair.
has Kenny Omega done that's been actually heelish?
I mean, you're not wrong, but I do feel like I think because and you and I have talked about this a little bit recently, like off camera and everything, just even in between episodes, of we both miss when Kenny was the bout machine. Like that energy of early Kenny when AEW was young, just getting started, and even before that, like we went to the New Japan show where the Elite were there and they were still with them, and the energy was just different. There was something different about his promos, about his enjoyment feeling from it, and I don't want to say that Kenny doesn't like it as much because I have no actual perspective on that. I don't know the man. But there's stories that he's been telling because of how slow they've been and how I feel like they've been kind of interrupted and ending up having to be changed dramatically because of just either injuries or drama or whatever. It just hasn't felt the same. And because AEW itself as a whole has been changing a lot and removing some elements that I really liked, it is just, I don't know, it feels very weird.
It does. And, we'll see what goes on. I think going into Wembley, we'll see a lot of changes because I'm not sure who he's going to be fighting at Wembley, if it's going to be Takeshita or if it's going to end up being, a New Japan star, for all we know at that point.
It could end up being a New Japan star. You're right.
But next up, we had the TNT champion Wardlow defending his title against a local wrestler. It went as you would expect.
He squashed him almost immediately.
Symphony 1, 2, 3. It was over. The main focus of this was definitely on the that is the story of this episode of Dynamite. Everything was about the post-match.
It really was.
Because we had so many damn beatdowns.
We had beatdowns or just announcements at the end of them. Because this one I don't even think really had a beatdown. All that ended up happening was Wardlow announced he was doing an open challenge, because that's kind of what you do if you have the TNT Championship. You announce an open challenge.
True.
And then Luchasaurus was called, Wardlow called out Luchasaurus, not actually saying Luchasaurus's name or anything, but implying it. And then Christian Cage actually came out with Luchasaurus, but Christian Cage announced that he was going to challenge for the TNT Championship rather than having Luchasaurus do it.
It's a swerve. It'll just be Wardlow will go through Christian at some point on the way to get to Luchasaurus at a pay-per-view.
I don't know. Everything, I feel really bad.
Everyone's cold on this, I worry.
I feel really bad because I hate saying this because I don't dislike Christian Cage. Okay, I just want to put that out there. I have nothing against the man. I have not cared.
She wants him to wear a bag on his head. She agrees with Vince McMahon. No! She thinks he's hideous.
No, I don't think he's hideous. I don't think he's hideous at all. But I don't care about his story. Everything that he has done, I just don't care. But also, part of that is because I'm not a huge fan even of, Jack Perry, for example. And because Luchasaurus and Jack Perry and Christian Cage have been so intertwined for so long, and the fucking stuff between Luchasaurus, Christian Cage, and Jungle Boy, when they were feuding and splitting apart and figuring out who was going to be with whom, really fighting over the custody, I feel like, of Luchasaurus, it just dragged on forever, and I hated it. And so I just don't care. Mm-hmm. And I continue to not care. And I'm really sad because Wardlow's now kind of been lumped into this too, because ever since the fallout that was MJF and Wardlow because of how MJF left and everything that happened with that. Wardlow's been on a slump for me as well, just on like personality wise. So now it's another story that has a bunch of people that I'm like, I just feel bad, but I don't care.
I get you.
And yes, John, to answer your question, we do watch Botchamania.
Oh god, yeah.
Big fan of Matthew's work.
Yes. All right, now we had not the match of the night, but the highlight of the night.
The best promo segment ever.
Was it a promo segment? Is that what you would call this? Because I'm talking about the visit to Sandy Fork.
Oh yes, I don't know. Well, I don't know what you call it. The skit. I don't know.
Yeah, we had a segment where Team Impact, Team TNA, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh went to Sandy Fork, Delaware, to visit the home of Mark Briscoe. I'm not sure if it's where his father lives as well, but you know, the famous Briscoe brother. And I felt a little bit like I was watching the final deletion. Like it felt like an old Matt Hardy bit.
It did actually. Honestly, it was really, really fun to watch, and I loved it because it felt like some of the stuff that I was missing from old Dynamite.
They were having fun in this skit because we ended up with
the overalls.
Sanjay and Satnam dressed up as like, you know, rednecks.
Yep,
like,
it was
stereotypical
beautiful.
Like, you know, redneck kind of thing like you see the Briscoes go with. I don't really know why. I think they're just trying to like empathize with Briscoe and bring him over to their side. I think is just the entire bit.
Yeah,
sure.
Basically, yeah. The reason I thought it was kind of a promo was because essentially they basically told him, "Hey, we got you a singles match. We're sorry for what happened last time. We got you a singles match to make up for it. Do you forgive us?" And Briscoe was like, "Sure, cool, thanks for that." And then Senior Briscoe, the father, came in and was like, Father Briscoe was like, you watch those two in the overalls. I don't trust them. And it was just such a good, fun, lighthearted segment. There was a baby, like there was dancing. Baby, yes. There was chickens. They were doing farm work. It was just fun.
Quickly after this, we had a match that I feel like should have been about 3 times better than it was.
Yeah, I wrote down my notes were
Robinson.
Yeah, my notes were it was a fine match.
It happened.
It happened, which I feel like has been my feeling about a lot of Ricky's matches recently. When I feel very bad about that again because
4 of them were against Jericho.
Yeah. But yeah, it was.
That's what happened after the match. After Ricky Starks beat Juice Robinson,
somebody ran down.
Jay White ran down to the ring and beat down Ricky Starks.
Holy moly! Who would have thought there'd be a run-in? It happened every single match.
It's not every single match.
Most of the matches, like 60% of the matches.
The Battle Royale did not.
You're right. But
yeah.
But that's just because there were already too many people involved in that. 18 men was enough. They didn't want to have another, 2 or something to make it 20.
And I don't want to downplay this because it was a fine segment. Yeah, no. There were no problems with it. It's just, we have Switchblade, Juice Robinson, Ricky Starks. I want these guys to be like burning the house down.
Exactly. And I feel like they just again, they did a fine job. Like it was a good match. I enjoyed watching it. But it just kind of felt like it got lost in the shuffle of the show.
I feel like we're really building up to next week with that cage match.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
And now a narratively very interesting match between the 4 pillars in the main event, the AEW World Champion MJF and Samuel Guevara versus... I'm sorry?
Oh, no, go ahead, finish.
Versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Darby Allin. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, Sheldon Jackson said in the comments that apparently it is the Bullet Club's 10th birthday today. So happy birthday, Bullet Club.
Yeah, it's too sweet.
Too sweet.
So the point of this match was if
Darby Boy. Oh my god. Okay, that is
Darby
there.
Boy,
That needs to be
the pipes are calling. I don't know.
that needs to be their tag team name. Except that I hate when they just come smush their names together. But Darby Boy works so well.
And he like that's when Sheamus like challenges Darby Allin. He's like Darby Boy. I can't do an accent anyway.
Yes. Yes, I understand though.
Oh God! All right, but yeah.
Beautiful.
So if Darby and Jungle Boy win the match, then they win the right to be in the title shot at All In, making it a fatal four-way. And let's be honest, we all knew
Exactly
who
what
was going to win
happen.
this match.
Yeah.
We all knew. Yeah, I mean, we all kind of knew what was going to happen as well. I'll let you take this over.
So we all knew that at the end of this, Darby and Jungle Boy were going to win, which is exactly what happened. Like, this was a great match. I think the Pillars put on a spectacular show. There was a lot of high flying, jumping between the ropes. There was a lot of can they exist? Will they exist? How is this all going to play out? And ultimately, Jungle Boy and Darby did end up winning. There was a lot of cheating that happened on Sammy and MJF's side. They had a couple of spots where they like grabbed MJF's and Sammy because they actually came down wearing the exact same outfit. They both had the vests that Sammy gave to MJF last week, and MJF had given Sammy a scarf, so they were both dressed the same, and they used the scarves as weapons, choking out, Jungle Boy and Darby respectively. Eventually, they did get caught and everything. And my favorite part during the when they were doing that is eventually they actually were able to get the scarf away from the pair of them, and I think it was Darby ended up choking out both Sammy and MJF respectively themselves. So everybody ended up getting choked out in this, and Tony Schiavone just screams as soon as Darby gets MJF like hooked in and starts yanking. He just screams, "Yes, choke him out!" And I'm just like, Schiavone, I know you hate MJF, but I hope in real life you guys are best buds. Like, I hope you like chat or something like that.
The breaking of like professional courtesy that Tony has when it comes to MJF is a wonderful bit.
It really, really is. Well, yes, of course, you have to expect cheating with MJF. So of course we had cheating in this match and everything. You make a good point, John. Let's see. And then what else happened after that? Oh yeah, so we ended up having a really great moment when we had a great moment when MJF ended up just doing a promo in the middle of the match, halfway through, declaring that
we were watching on Fight, so we ended up seeing what happened during the commercial break.
Oh yes, I think you're right. I do think this happened during the commercial break.
It was. Oh, trust me, this was during the commercial break.
Okay, well, I hope that they end up putting the segment on YouTube for folks later who didn't end up seeing it. I suspect they will, because it was hilarious. Because MJF basically declared he and Sammy best friends forever, which definitely meant that they were going to end up falling apart. And they weren't going to last at all. Probably not even through the match, which I think is pretty much... Oh, yes, that is in fact what happened. I was looking through my notes and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they actually do fall apart in this. And that is what leads into their downfall and Jack and Darby winning the match. Because MJF eventually gets pissed off at Sammy and slaps him in the face. Sammy is going to take none of his shit and he super kicks him. And then that causes MJF to basically fall over. Jack is able to pin Sammy but fails, and that's when Darby blind tags himself in, which does kind of piss off Jack Perry. So they're still building that they can't really work together vibe.
That'll probably be what undoes them in the end.
Right? I think so too. I think MJF's going to end up being able to hold on to it because the three of them are going to still hate each other. None of them are going to actually like work together to remove MJF, and it'll be bad for them, and MJF will probably succeed. But Darby gets the coffin drop, nearly hitting Jack Perry with it, because he's like, I made the tag, bro, you better get the hell out of the way. And
he's sort of holding him in place for it, I think.
Well, he was, but Jack Judge did like go like, wait, what? Because he didn't realize, because it was a blind tag, so the whole thing was that he wasn't aware that Darby was doing it, so that's why it was such a close call. And again, I think that was to play into the fact that when they have their match in London, it's going to fall apart because they don't trust each other still. And then, of course, like I said, Darby and Jack win. Darby gets the physical pin on Sammy, which means that, MJF didn't take the loss specifically. He just has to deal with the results of it, which is now a 4-way when we get to London. And I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, this match already was spectacular. Seeing them actually not have to be teams is going to just make it, I think, even more interesting because everybody's just going to be going after everybody.
Do you
think? Oh, yes.
That so earlier in the episode they had the bit with MJF coming to talk to Jungle Boy about oh, you're a good wrestler, kid, but you're not world title material. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, be the right hand man of the champ, but like be second place, but you ain't got the top.
Come kiss the ring and be at the left hand of the father, as it were. And
sorry, I do mean Vegas, not in London.
Sorry?
Oh, I was saying that they were going to have their match in London, but I think it's actually in Vegas.
Do you think we'll see a Jungle Boy heel turn to assist the dastardly MJF?
I kind of want there to be one. I don't know if he'll do it. I feel Jack Perry strikes me a little bit.
Screw over Darby.
Potentially. So, Jack Perry, and this is part of my problem with him, he strikes me as a wrestler who wants to be a face predominantly. Like, he's never been a heel. I'd be very interested in seeing him be a heel because I kind of feel like he'd be better as a heel potentially. We've never seen it, and I don't know if he like specifically wants that. Like, I feel like he wants to be the hero. And so I don't know if he's actually going to do a betrayal like that. I would love for him to, though. I think it'd be really interesting for his character.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And the fact that the fact that Luchasaurus is evil, quote unquote, now does make me think, okay, we turn Darby heel in this match with the Fatal 4-Way.
You mean Darby or Jungle Boy?
Sorry, Jungle Boy. We make Jungle Boy heel in the match with the Fatal 4-Way. And then down the road, I don't think Jungle Boy is becoming world champion this year. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Sorry, Jungle Boy, but I don't think it's going to be you of the four.
But what do you think of an idea of him and Luchasaurus getting back together, but being evil?
I mean, I would love that.
An evil boy and his T-Rex.
Evil boy and his evil T-Rex.
There you go. His evil dino.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would love that. Again, I think Jungle Boy going sinister would be interesting. My only, I guess, concern with it is we have so many people who are already, like, AEW is oddly very divided between, like, evil and good in a very literal sense sometimes.
That's because we got rid of, like, the Eddie Kingstons and such.
Yeah. Eddie, is Eddie on Impact right now?
He's on Ring of Honor now. Remember, he can never wrestle in AEW again.
That's right. Because of whatever match he lost. Was it against Jericho or somebody else? I can't remember now.
Something like I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. I'm sad about that. I'm sad that he's gone.
So as you know, and it ended with, you know, sort of just the final image for the pay-per-view was displayed up on screen. MJF was losing his shit. Yep. Tony Schiavone was incredibly happy, which
also
is
losing his shit just in the opposite.
I'm always happy when Tony's happy, so that's always nice.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what would you give this episode of AEW Dynamite as a letter grade?
As a letter grade, I think I would give this honestly, I think a B+. I think it was a pretty good show.
Whoa. Wow. Okay.
Do you think it's way less? What would you give it?
I think we disagree. I want to hear your arguments first, though.
I think that for something, I think I'm just putting a lot of weight on the main event, which I thought was really fun. Even though like it was predictable, we all knew where it was going. I think those four put on a very good show, and I think I'm giving a lot of credit to that. You know what? I'm going to slightly change my grade because I'm thinking back about everything that happened, and especially considering we didn't have the Elite on there still, and we had so many run-ins and like beat ups at the end of matches. I'm gonna say instead a C plus. I'm gonna actually drop it down because I just.
So I would give it a D plus.
You're gonna give it a D plus? Okay.
Dude, this was okay. So I'm one of those people where I'm like, C is average. I think this was a below average episode of Dynamite.
Okay.
I feel like
I can't argue really against that.
Yeah, the repetition of the run-ins I felt them.
Yes.
Will you remember anything about the women's division this week in 2 days?
Not really, no.
Sheeta came back.
Yeah, I'll remember that Sheeta came back, but I mean that's just a yay, Sheeta's back.
Yeah. The Battle Royale was messy. The opener existed like so that's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
Compared to what Dynamite is capable of delivering and normally delivers, I do not think this is in their top half.
You know what? I'm going to be more critical in the future. I'm going to stand by my C+. I'm also just a little bit more of an optimist when it comes to these things, and I try not to be as harsh on them, even when I am critical sometimes.
I am notoriously, like, when I used to work in an office and I had to do certain types of ratings and such, I am notoriously, like, persnickety.
No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, it's a valid point. You really do make some valid points about the repetitiveness and just not a whole lot even was moved forward in what was...
The main event title picture did. We set up who the new, like, trios title match is going to be with, but nothing really feels like it has a lot of emotion behind it that wasn't already there.
And a lot of it was very predictable. Like, the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass being the contenders for the for the trios tag team, now that they don't have the actual tag titles, makes total sense to me. Like, I would have expected that because they are still incredibly popular and hot right now. So why not continue to utilize them? So yeah, I mean, there was nothing like unexpected that happened in this episode.
And the Sammy and MJF romance ended way too early.
You're right, way too early.
No positive points there either.
I did like their mashup. We didn't talk about the fact that they actually did a mix-up or a mashup of their theme songs for when they came out. Because they actually came out together.
He did a good job.
Yes.
Yep, they did, with matching outfits.
With matching outfits and everything. The one other thing that I actually wanted to talk about as just a slight, and you know what? This also contributes to me lowering the score a little bit. When we had the women's when we had the match where Jericho was on commentary with Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era, he was wearing the new Britt Baker shirt.
Oh yeah.
I am not a fan of this shirt, and I just wanted to call that out because I don't know. I think it's a very bad design. There's a difference between doing a photo of a wrestler during a match and being injured and having like a bloody face, because Britt Baker's had other shirts bloody where she's injured on them.
The death match shirt with Thunder Rosa being the most famous,
right?
It's based off the Crimson Mask Stone Cold shirt.
Exactly. So she's done other shirts where like violence has happened to her explicitly, but those shirts, it was very clear that happened in a wrestling match, like you could see, you know, the ring in the background a little bit. Like, it was very obvious. And they also stylized it in a way that made it feel intentional to draw, like, this is being a badass, rather than it looking like a goddamn mugshot of, like, an abuse victim. Because there's no like context. Photo. Like, if you were wearing that shirt out in public, and a non-AEW fan saw you.
You wore that to the mall.
You just wore this to the mall, and a mother saw you who knew nothing about pro wrestling, nothing about AEW. She would be so confused and probably horrified because it just looks like you have, like, an abuse victim on your shirt. And that's my problem with the t-shirt. So the fact that, like, I know why Jericho was doing it. He was doing it to get a rise out of Adam Cole because Adam Cole chased him off at the very, very end. But, like... Yep. I'm very surprised they made the shirt because I just don't see people really wanting to get it because I can't imagine anybody would want to wear it out in public.
Yeah, it was a weird one for that, and really the controversy has become the more famous news, but hopefully it teaches, you know, AEW what they should and shouldn't do. Because I mean, I just think the difference is, like you said,
it has to be stylized and intentional.
You show people the black t-shirt with the black eye, the current Britt Baker shirt, and ask them what that is. I do not believe, personally, that the majority of people would guess that that is a professional fighter
Right.
or a hero character in a thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you showed them the picture of the Crimson Mask shirt and you showed that to some people, I think you would get a much larger percentage who may not say pro wrestling,
But
but
at
they
least
might
fighter.
look at it and go, UFC? Is it some
Exactly.
kind of band thing? You know, something like that. That's
It
my
reads
reading.
better. Exactly. I completely agree. And a lot of people in the comment are also agreeing. Weasels is saying that they also or don't really like it because like not everybody's gonna understand the context, which I totally agree. That's sort of my point is out of context, the shirt looks terrible. In context, it's still not that good because it's kind of I get what she's
One
going
other
for,
comparison.
but it's oh yeah, go ahead.
One other comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch's busted face
Yes.
after Nia Jax punched her on that
Yeah, she
invasion.
broke her nose and was just bleeding profusely.
Yeah, and she was standing in the crowd with her arms out,
Right.
going, "Come at you, me motherfucker!" You know.
Yeah.
And like that image kind of created the modern Becky Lynch.
Yeah, the man character.
But once again, it's a woman, yes, with a busted face, but in a state of like power.
Yes.
And the Britt Baker one just isn't. I
agree. That's a very good point.
It's just I wanted to give my 2 cents.
Oh no, I appreciate your 2 cents, and I completely agree with you. You make an excellent point about the Becky Lynch one being a woman in a state of power. I completely agree because even the Britt Baker with the bloody face that's mimicking the Austin Power or the not Austin Powers, the Stone Cold, Steve Austin. Sorry, I don't know why I went to Austin Powers.
Hell yeah, baby. Someone's done it.
I want to do it now. But like that one is more her in a state of like authority and she's in control of it, where the other one just really does not read that way. That was just my rant. Sorry, that was something that like I wrote specific notes about, and I forgot to bring it up when we were talking about it earlier. So I wanted to get it out because I don't like that shirt. Please don't support that one. Buy other Britt Baker shirts.
Buy a Danhausen shirt.
Also buy a Danhausen shirt. Keep that man at the top of the lists.
Yeah, he needs it while his pack is recovering from surgery.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot he's out injured right now.
Yep.
So many people are out injured. Is he going to be back for Wembley?
I have no idea. Wembley.
Or Wembley, sorry.
I have no idea, but for some reason I have a feeling somebody will get insulted if we call it Wembley.
I'm so sorry. I am bad with names.
Wembley. Welcome to the Silver Dome, brother.
All right. Oh no! Oh, shame. Where's the? Do you have that bell? I need you to ring the bell in shame.
Oh, not on me right now. Do you have any more notes or thoughts about Dynamite this week?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. I don't even know like what we're necessarily looking forward to next week with AEW specifically.
Cage match, Moxley, Omega.
That's right. Mox and Kenny are going to be next week. I think that's like the main thing that we know that's happening, right?
Yeah, then that's got to be half an hour of the damn episode.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. Yeah. I mean, I guess the last thing I'll just say is I am really sad that MJF and Sammy are no longer a thing. Their bromance, all that boy love that was happening there, I loved it, and I'm sad it's gone. It was so short-lived. Too short-lived, in my opinion.
Someone will make a fan cam of it for you.
Please, yes. Somebody, really, if Sammy can just, like, add it to his vlog in some way, that'd be great. Just continue it there.
Excellent. Well, I'd just like to thank the few folks who decided to join us this evening.
Absolutely.
I know it's kind of late/early, especially for the Europeans and pro wrestling. Yes, just what the world needs, another pro wrestling podcast. But we appreciate you guys joining us.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you to Weasels and John, both of you in chat, because I think there were 2 Johns. So thanks you to everybody who has been chatting with us, everybody who's been lurking. It's always lovely to have you here and listen to us chat about AEW pro wrestling, because it's one of our passions. We really, really like it, and I'm glad to be able to talk with it about it with you guys. I am all over the place. It's been a long day, which is funny because I don't feel like I've done that much, but I am
I
tired.
have. I have done a lot. I
You
am
have.
tired.
You've been doing a lot of editing and like getting things
Yes.
ready.
We got
Oh,
new videos coming out on
yes.
Friday, and then we got another stream Friday night, and I'll be around for all that. So
Yes. Oh,
wrap
well,
us
we're not
up. I
gonna.
want to go for a walk.
Yes, we do want to go for a walk. So for this week, we aren't having a Friday stream. We're just going to have a standard video coming out. So be looking
Oh, are we
forward.
not doing a stream on Friday? I didn't know that.
I thought we had talked about that. Maybe we are. I haven't
Okay.
decided.
I have
So
now learned this. Cool.
I thought we were going to. We'll figure it out. I'll make an announcement tomorrow of whether or
I
not we're
will
actually.
check the calendar. My apologies.
We will check the calendar. We'll make an announcement. We may have a
I
stream
think you
Friday.
just did.
Okay. Um. Anyways, we're gonna wrap up. Be looking forward to stuff on Friday, stuff on Saturday, and then of course more news on Tuesday and another hobby live stream on Tuesday as well. I've been really enjoying those, and I hope that you guys have as well. I was really glad to get some of my Star Wars figures worked on this past week. But I might actually, I don't know. I've been thinking about, because I just got in a new board game that has some miniatures in it. And I'm thinking about maybe painting some of those up soon too. So be possibly looking forward to that on a future live stream on Tuesdays. I haven't decided yet. But I'm going to head out. Chaos Cultist, do you want to say goodbye so we can go on our walk?
Goodbye, so we can go on our walk.
Oh, okay. Well, he literally said it. You know what? Good. You followed instructions delightfully. Thank you so much, sir. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, folks.